Davide here, and welcome back to the Impertinent Collector Christmas special. Well, we're going to pay homage or honor, tribute, if you want, to a couple of historical figures. The first one is somebody called Guy de Chauliac, a doctor and a surgeon, and his most famous patient, the Pope Clement the VI, who had the good fortune of having Guy de Chauliac being his personal physician when the Black Plague broke up in Europe in 1345. And Guy de Chauliac was in fact a scholar with many years of experience in the best university of the time, Bologna, Padua, Paris, Montpellier. And he had come to the conclusion that the plague that was sweeping across Europe and that it turned up to killing 2/3 of the population was not caused by the Jews poisoning the wells. It was not caused by the witches cursing Christianity. It was not caused by an alignment of Jupiter, Venus, and Uranus. No, it was nothing more than a viral infection carried by rats, bats, pigs, and men. Hey, sounds familiar? And when he came to this conclusion, he placed the Pope in a big room with cathedral high ceiling in his palace, in isolation for 2 years, with 2 massive fireplaces constantly burning, and where people could only talk to the Pope one at a time, whilst having no symptoms for 2 or 3 days, and standing no more than 15 to 20 meters away from the Pope himself. And that's how he survived. And why all this is relevant? But it's relevant, my dear friends, because after years of living in an isolation not dissimilar to the one of Clement the VI, yesterday I succumbed to COVID-19, just at the doorstep of the Christmas festivities. And so I had to swap this for this. And as I withdraw from the participation of all the Christmas party where I've been invited in order to avoid the shame that would fall to the host in declaring me persona non grata, unwanted guest, I decided to use this opportunity when I feel sort of run down to share with you some of the most cherished memories of my Christmas time in Italy. I say cherished, but in an ironic way, because I still remember that period as a dreadful 3 days marathon where everything was just trying to survive what my mom had prepared for the occasion. Those 3 days were normally broken down as follows: a Christmas Eve at my sister's place, where she would try to gain the favors of the most ungrateful and bitching audience, mainly my mom, my dad, and myself, with their non-existent culinary skills in attempting to do some exotic dishes that God knows why she had decided to prepare for the first time on that special occasion. Then, on Christmas morning at my parents' place, we had the opening of the gift. My sister initially wanted the gift to be exchanged in the smaller venue of her place when there was just us, the close family, plus maybe one friend, but just mainly us. But my mom had schemed to have the gift open instead in our family house in the morning as a way to master muscles for the millions of activities that would still have to take place before the main guest would show up around 12:30 for what was like a lunch, followed by like coffee and tea afternoon, followed by a dinner. Ah, why, got the memories. And then on the 26th, we would have the follow-up in what we called in Italian Santo Stefano, where everybody who couldn't come for Christmas and wasn't invited could then join us in the afternoon for lunch in the afternoon of the 26th, bringing their own leftovers. And guess what? As my mom truly was in her 8 days a culinary wizard, they will bring the leftovers and eat our leftovers, and none of us wanted to eat their leftovers. We still wanted to eat my mom's leftovers. This affair started in September or October, when we have different delicacy ordered from different places. So we'll have the panettone ordered from the best bakery in Milan. We would have like tortellini ordered from the best deli in Parma. Then you could have prosciutto coming straight from Friuli, from San Daniele. Then you could also have from Parma, you could have like culatello. You could have mortadella. You could have like cotechino. You could have all sort of winter type of dishes, all choreographed by my mom in a quite rich table where we normally be like 11 or 12. We always invite another family that had 2 kids, slightly younger than me and my sister. And then normally we would have also few other people invited. It could be like the old auntie, that is not an auntie, it's like 3 or 4 generations down the path who was left alone, and so we would invite or some other people. But the rules was that you could never be 13 people around the table. And so if we reach 12 and somebody we have to invite it at the last moment, we have to undown the 14 guests, because we couldn't have the 13 people sitting on the table of Christmas lunch, a tradition that goes back to the Last Supper of Christ, when the third disciple was Judas. And it would have been nice in our table to find out, oh, are you saying I'm the one who's going to betray you? Well, we were all vipers. Yes, and that venomous attitude started at my sister's dinner, with gossiping of between me and my father, trying to say like, oh God, I say like that, try not to eat too much tonight at Christina's dinner. And he would reply, oh, don't worry, there is zero risk of that happening. Or my mom calling her a couple of weeks before every day, oh, make sure you prepare something simple, you're not a very good cook. Oh, we really appreciate that you having this dinner every year, but cooking is not really your forte, and so on. A constant barrage that would culminate, on the evening of the 24th. And God knows why my sister kept inviting us. But I remember that at the end of every dinner, as my mom would say, oh, thank you, dear. Oh, it was a good effort. And we appreciate that. My sister would swear that that would be the last year she would have Christmas with my parents and with the family. My poor sister is still having my mom for dinner in 2 days, 2 nights time. And so that is the history of the family Christmas, a quite elaborate affair where people would come, people would leave, people will bring cheap wine and drink the expensive wine that my dad, had gone to great lengths to buy straight from the cellar in Piedmont of the father of Luca Cordero de Montezemolo. For the people who don't know, the former president of Ferrari, his father had his own vineyard, and my dad used to buy from him. And then we would have, together with champagne, we would have more traditional sparkling wine coming from northern Italy, mainly Prosecco, Cartiz, and Spumante. And they would always add at least a couple of bottles of Ferrari, the Italian Spumante made in the French champenoise method that for many years was the only known champagne served in the top restaurant in Paris for people tired of drinking the usual Moet or Dom Perignon or what else with Clicquot. Okay, and that is the story. And I just want to end this video with a couple of quotes. One from Clement the VI himself, who, at the time of being declared the Pope by the conclave, he was already happily living in Paris in luxury. And when he moved to Avignon, when the Pope was residing at the time, he was horrified to discover that the palace of the Pope, that you can still visit today, but has since been remade by him, was in a very poor state of affair. There was really nothing there that would suit a Pope. And so what he did, he immediately, on the first day, started taxing all the churches, all the monasteries, all the abbeys across Europe, to the point that the most powerful bishops wrote a joint letter to him in a vain attempt to resist, stating that no predecessor has ever taxed the churches of Europe. To which Clement the VI replied, "My predecessor never fully understood what it means to be Pope." Oh, what an extraordinary, divine arrogance. You have to love this guy. And in fact, he was very much loved. So that when many years later he died, a chronicle of the time wrote, "Today France lost a fine gentleman, a patron to the art, a supporter of the poor, but no saint." What a wonderful way to go. No, I don't intend to go because I got COVID and I intend to be back on Champagne shortly. But for now, this is all. Have a Merry, Merry Christmas, as I will be by myself, happily, and for a short period of time. Until next time, goodbye, my friends. Long life, happiness, and if you must, endure your family.